Welcome to One Brothas Mind, and I am KD Smooth. Today we will question and challenge popular information and views from a B1 perspective, while we expose the real facts you need. We do this to strengthen your logical, critical, and discerning thinking skills. Because in today's world, hard choices are mandatory and they come with consequences. So you need all the information. And at One Brothas Mind, we do this from a B1 Yeshua the Christ followers perspective. Now, if you're not ready, you better get ready with KD Smooth at One Brothas Mind. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's KD Smooth coming back at you with another broadcast for today. And in today's broadcast, we're going to chop it up real quick in regards to this issue coming out of California with Proposition 12. If you haven't researched this issue, I suggest you do so. This could have major implications in the U.S. meat market or meat industry, family. And it's a issue that you need to definitely make yourself aware of. And just to be helpful, One Brothas Mind is going to provide you with a quick update to get you up to speed. Okay. On this issue, if you're not familiar, California Prop 12 and its effect on the U.S. and what you may be missing about it. Okay, family? First off, California Prop 12 is an animal rights law that requires all meat sold in California to be raised within certain humane restrictions or requirements, or it can't be sold in California. Okay? Not the U.S., just California. All right? The restrictions include, it requires that confinement spaces for covered livestock whose meat or eggs will be sold in California must be large enough that the animals have enough room to lie down, turn around, and spread their wings. The law includes fines and possible jail time for violators. Okay? Yeah, that's what. Welcome to One Brothas Mind, and I am sorry about those technical difficulties, family. That's what this Prop 12 restriction is about. Okay? Now, many of you may be familiar with kind of how our meat and various meat producing animals are farmed in the U.S. Some of you may not, but there's some issues, y'all. There is definitely some issues there. For those that already know, just chill for a second. For those that don't know, let me update you. All right. As you've seen here briefly on your screen, I'm going to put it back up for you. This image is as an example. The image at the bottom is an example image of how chickens are raised here in the U.S., how they're farmed. Okay, as you see, there's so many chickens in there you can't even see the ground, and they're so close together and bunched together, they don't really have room to move, lay down, or much. And be clear, family, within this image, you can't really see them from the image because there's so many chickens, but there are chickens that are actually dead, laying on the ground amongst these chickens in the bottom picture. Okay? And here's a picture of, at the top, of chickens being farmed and raised that have a lot more room to move around, to spread their wings, to walk around, to move, etc., etc., etc. So what this Prop 12 in these examples of these images that you see on your screen is doing is trying to create more humane, more safe food production requirements to give you what you see on more of what you see on the top image, as opposed to the unhealthy farming methods as you see on your bottom image. Okay? And this goes for not only chickens, but for pork or hogs or pigs, cows, everything that all meats that are produced for consumption by the public. Now, let's put it this way. With California, first, they actually passed this law in California. Now, meat producers in other states around the country, not California, other states, they are basically suing California, and they're taking this lawsuit all the way, or hoping to take it at least, all the way to the Supreme Court to try to stop California from having these better, safer, more humane food, or let's say meat production requirements. Now, some of y'all going, well, why would they do that? Why, that makes it better. Stay with me. Most of your meat producers in the U.S., they farm and maintain their farm animals like the example you see in the bottom image. Now, these are chickens, but put in your mind, put a picture of cows all mashed up together in small spaces, or pigs, or whatever the case may be, right? Those are the type of conditions that our meat today is being produced in, and has been produced in for a long time. Now, in the image below, the more chickens you pack into this room and produce, the more money you can make, right? Because you're mass producing chicken, right? So you want to be able to smush as many of them in there as you can, so you can have the maximum amount of actual chicken that you are producing to sell, right? So you make the most money. But like I said, there's all kind of problems with that. And California with Prop 12 is looking to mainly address this issue for California. But as you read into the details of Prop 12, Prop 12 also requires these same restrictions on meat that is sold in California but produced outside of California. Okay? And that's where the problem comes in, as far as with the meat producers outside of California. They're crying. They're crying foul because it will cost them, like I said, more money to comply with these new requirements for meat production in California. And they say it violates the Constitution for a state to regulate interstate commerce. Okay? And they say that because in the Constitution, it says Congress has that authority. That's all it says. It doesn't say a state has the authority or a state doesn't have the authority. It just says Congress has that authority in the Constitution. So their argument is because it says Congress has that authority, a state does not. Okay? So I don't know where you fall on that issue. I here at One Brothas Mind, we fall on if a state wants to make a new law for its state and its citizens that makes something better for its citizens, I'm all for it. There may be some additional costs, but if it's going to make something better or life better for its citizens, I'm all for it. For example, California has they have higher restrictions on carbon emissions for cars. Okay? So, in some states you have to go and get your car tested, your tailpipe tested for the emissions that it's putting out, and it has to be within a certain range of emissions, or you're going to get ticketed or get a violation or however, and you got to get it fixed. All that kind of stuff. They used to do that here in Indy, but they don't do that no more. But in California, their air quality had gotten to a point where it was so bad, they passed a law that says, okay, we're going to improve our air quality by lowering our emissions. And one of the primary way we're getting air pollution is from our cars and what they exhaust. So let's raise the emissions or exhaust requirements so that cars that are driven in California put out or produce less exhaust or less toxic exhaust. And over time, that will help improve the air quality in California. Now, some of y'all going, okay, yeah, that makes sense. All right, problem. That means car manufacturers have to manufacture and build the cars to meet California's emissions or exhaust restrictions. Or they can decide not to. Then they can't sell those cars that don't meet those restrictions in California. Or a third option, car manufacturers have to make two sets of cars. Cars for all of the U.S. except for California, and then cars that just for California that just meet California's restrictions. So there's a lot involved in that, family. There's a whole lot involved in that. And just before we move forward, ladies and gentlemen, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We here at One Brothas Mind are bringing you the facts you need. This is deep, y'all. It seemed like it, but stay with it. All right. So that's an example of the effect that one state making a law that's better for the state or for the citizens in that state can impact and affect the whole U.S., right? It also is an example of a situation where something that the federal government should be doing, new laws, new requirements that the federal government should be doing and have not done yet. A state, in this example, like California, can say, you know what, we're not going to wait till y'all finish filling with y'all toes to pass this law that should have been passed years ago. We're going to pass it for our state because we're trying to protect and make life better for California citizens. Okay? And then y'all do what y'all going to do. But we have a right as a state and an obligation to protect our citizens. Right? Okay. Now, here's what they're not telling you, family. Here's some of what they're not telling you. Okay? In most places, you're going to hear reports on this issue. They're not really going to focus on the benefits of the restrictions of Prop 12 or the new requirements, let's say that. Some of those benefits include just overall, if all the meat producers, accept these requirements and make the adjustments, and then start, like you've seen in the image at the top here at the top of your screen, start raising their chickens, pork, cows, pigs, all that in more humane environments with more space. One, they're going to produce a healthier meat product for consumption. That's number one. Number two, they're going to reduce disease and contamination. Because again, like I said, family, in this image on the bottom of your screen, there's a percentage of the chickens in this example in the bottom of your screen that they have diseases, right? And if your chickens are packed, smashed in together in such numbers, if one chicken catches a disease or develops a disease, guess what? Real fast, that disease is going to spread through all those chickens. They're going to have to kill or eliminate all of those diseased birds. Whereas if your chickens are in a farming environment like the image at the top of your screen, you reduce the risk and the percentages of the disease spread. Okay? And therefore, ultimately, you may not, if you do find a few chickens with a disease, you may be able to catch it and remove those before it takes over your entire flock. Okay, family? Like I said, the farming for CAP or Prop 12 for California requirements, those requirements, you just literally going to produce healthier meat for human consumption. And it's also going to reduce the risk of people being sickened by food poisoning. Okay? Like E. coli, for example, with chickens. Okay? Because, they try to do what they can do when they can do what they can do, you know what I'm saying? to eliminate the diseased animals and this and that. But, y'all, the reality is it's not 100%. So animals and meat with diseases can and do make it to the market. Literally right there in your grocery store, wrapped up, ready for you to buy it, take it home. Right? And guess what then they have to do? When they figure that out, that some disease meats or food has made it to your actual grocery store and is out for sale, guess what? That's when you hear about all the recalls. There's a meat recall, there's a this recall, that recall. And they're telling people, if you had it, throw it away or bring it back to the store, we'll exchange it or something. It's a whole big problem. And if y'all ain't noticed, if y'all haven't noticed, there's been more and more recalls and more frequent food recalls, in the last few years than years in the past. Okay? People get sick. People die from eating diseased meats and food, contaminated foods. And you definitely don't want that to be you, y'all. For those of few of y'all who have had some jacked up food and went home, that day or a few days of that your stomach being, oh my God, or in many cases, it's so bad for people, they have to go to the hospital and get treated. And in the worst case scenario, like I said, you can die from food poisoning like that. So this affects everybody, y'all. This affects all of us. Unless you got your prepper game stepped up to where you're raising your own free range chicken, like say in your backyard, you don't have to worry about this type of stuff. But for those of us, for the majority who are not raising our own chickens and meats and whatnot in our prepper program, we buying our meats from mass producers. And so basically, you got to ask yourself the question, would you want to buy, like in this example, chicken from a producer that's producing chicken in the bottom image that way, or from a producer that's producing chicken in the top image? I would prefer the top image. I'd pay extra money for that because it's going to cost a little bit more, because they can't bunch up and smash up so many in that space, in that room. So they're going to produce less, so there's going to be a little bit higher cost. But I'm willing to pay that a little bit higher cost because it's just a healthier product. Okay, family? So, like I said, that's what you have to ask yourself. Should there be additional requirements on food producers, meat producers, to provide or produce healthier food levels for consumption? To help us avoid disease outbreaks, food poisonings, and sickness and death, and recalls? I say yes here at One Brothas Mind. Now, what you got to understand with this issue, family, is the food producer, like in the bottom image on your screen, they're going to scream and cry and come up with all kind of jacked up reasons of why they shouldn't be forced to live by the requirements in the top image for their meat production or food production, right? But the reality is they started out their farms like the image in the bottom, and they've been running them that way for years. So to switch, they're going to have to upgrade some things. They're going to have to modify their farming rooms. I don't know what this chicken room is called, but it's a building. It's like I don't know, whatever you want to call it. They're going to have to upgrade those things. That's some significant extra cost, right? Actually, I would say they ain't got to upgrade a whole lot. They got to just, once they harvest all these chickens out of in the image in the bottom, once all the chickens are harvested, clean the room, and then just stop putting so many dang chickens in there. You got to put about half or a little, the amount of chickens in there, and then you end up with, the image that you got on top. The chickens have more room, but anyway. But like I said, they're gonna cry because they're gonna, say it's gonna add extra cost, but in reality, all they're gonna do is whatever extra cost that they incur adjusting their farming practices, they're just going to pass that cost and add it to the price of chicken or pork or beef or whatever it is. We're going to pay for that. They're ultimately not going to pay for it. Y'all get that, right? So that's a part of this as well. So you're talking higher prices. Okay. The other argument, which is even more crazier to me, is the farmers, the meat producers are crying, well, this ain't constitutional. California can't do this because of the Constitution. Like I said earlier, it says in the Constitution that Congress has the authority to make these type of rules and regulations and restrictions. That's all it says. It doesn't say the states can or the states cannot. It just says Congress has the authority. So they're going to argue that this is a states' rights issue. And where have we heard that before? Okay? And the reality of a so-called states' rights issue is when there are people who are making easy money, they always They figured out some kind of scam, some kind of hustle, some type of get over. And the money's pretty easy for them. They always argue states' rights because they don't want nothing to stop them from making the easy money, using whatever loophole that they figured out, whatever hustle. They don't want nobody stopping them from making that money, right? And they therefore argue that the government or other states cannot control how they make their money, right? That's what the whole states' rights argument thing is. But here's the thing. Here's the thing I need y'all to understand, and this applies to all states' rights so-called issues, right? They argue or make that argument for states' rights when they're making money, especially when they're making easy money or free money like slavery or in other issues, okay? They go, states' rights. But when a state wants to improve something or improve their food, improve the air quality, or make improvements in some other fashion for its residents or a group of residents or what have you, now magically the states' rights people say, oh, it's against the Constitution. You see what they did there? Do you see how they're playing both sides of the argument? Okay, and what you have to understand, family, here is whether you agree with it or not, this is a part or a tactic of white supremacy. White supremacy always plays both sides of an issue. They always double speak. They do that because the goal is not to be right with white supremacy. The goal is to win by any means necessary. Okay? So understand that. This is a tactic that they use. When it works for them, yes, states' rights. When it doesn't or go against something that they're doing, oh, it's a problem. No, you can't do that. Oh, you're violating my rights. Oh, well, what about the rights of the people that you've been violating by doing whatever it is that you've been doing thus far? Those people don't have rights? Yeah. Okay, miss me with all that. Okay, family? Now, again, other state food producers, they simply don't have to comply. This is just for California. So they don't have to change what they're doing. They can keep doing what they're doing like in the bottom image. It's just that they won't be able to sell any of their chicken or products or eggs or whatever to or in California. That's all. And in case some of you are wondering, California, for example, is only about 15% of U.S. pork sales is sold in California. So it's not like it's the majority of the market. They still got the whole, whether it's chicken, pork, beef, whatever, you still got the whole major part or major percent of the meat market to sell your products at. You ain't got to deal with California if you don't want to. That's all it really boils down to. But they're arguing, trying to force California to say, no, you're going to take our potentially diseased meats and jacked up meats the way we raise them, and you gonna take them. We gonna sell our stuff, and then you ain't gonna do nothing about it. That's what the other states' meat producers are saying. It's like selling drugs. We selling our stuff. This Icona. I don't care your name on it. This Icona. It's always been Icona. It's gonna stay Icona. Come on, y'all. Really? But again, remember the little twist they do when it benefits them, it helps them make money, even if it's evil, satanic money. States' rights. But when it requires him to do better, make improvements, not damage or hurt other people so much, oh, it's against the Constitution. You can't do that. So, family, another quick example of this states' rights type situation is what California did with the NCAA sports rule or law that they just recently made about a year or so ago, where they're allowing all California college athletes now can make money off of their name while in college. Okay? They can earn that money. Whether it's online or whatever, where they do autographs or go do event appearances or whatever, they can get paid for them. And the college that they attend and play for gets no money out of that. They don't get a percent, nothing. Right? All that money, whatever it is, however small or significant, it belongs to the college student. So the NCAA went crazy. Y'all, we gotta go Supreme Court about this. Why? Why the NCAA got so much a problem with California trying to do something to help its college students to make life better? Because the colleges and the NCAA has had this rule and policy that college athletes, so-called, has to be amateur athletes. Therefore, they cannot make or earn money in any kind of significant way while a college athlete. Because if they do, their argument is that makes them a professional athlete. No. The truth is the NCAA, the whole college sports program throughout the country, it's literally been modern day slavery. It's one of the best examples of modern day slavery. Now, some of you listening will argue, well, no, college students get a scholarship. They get free college. That's their payment. Nah, miss me with that. That little free $20, $30, $40, $50,000 scholarship, $60,000 ain't nothing compared to the billions that these colleges are raking in off of the backs, hard work of these college athletes. No, miss me with that. Take that somewhere. Take that to the store with you. Take it somewhere. That's slavery. The NCAA and colleges should have been paying college athletes for decades. It's called revenue sharing. Without the athletes, these colleges don't make these billions of dollars that fund the rest of the school and the rest of the school's programs. So everybody eating off the college athletes, but the college athletes. That's called slavery, y'all. Literally. And literally, in a lot of these sports programs, a lot of the athletes literally struggle just to even get free meals a day. You say, well, why? They in college, they got the cafeterias and all. Because they have to go to class, they have to study, and most importantly, they have to practice sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. So within all of that activity, there's usually not, most of the classes don't let you bring food to classes. The practice, you can't eat while you're in the middle of practicing. So when are these college athletes supposed to eat their meals? There's many college athletes that have, gave interviews and testified that they've struggled even just getting meals. Because then the school cafeterias, they close by a certain time. Well, they just got out of practice But the cafeteria closed 30 minutes ago. Where are they supposed to eat? They can't get no food nowhere now. Now the only way they can eat is if they have what? Some money in their pocket. They can go buy some fast food or something, some McDonald's, something. Right? But if they ain't got no money in their pocket, they come from a poor family, they don't have extra money to spend, then how are they supposed to eat? Where are they supposed to get money to go buy some food after the cafeteria is closed? And they just got out of practice. So y'all miss me with all that. I mean, there's a lot of people, and there's even some coaches that they literally help feed their athletes because they get it. They do it under the table. And in many ways, and many times, this is how the athletes have been surviving. Okay, so it's been an issue. This has been a problem for a long time, but this is just another example. So California, they made a new law, and they made it so that the athletes can make some money off of their name. The colleges aren't paying the athletes, but the athletes can make their own money off their names. And y'all know how things are today with the internets. You can do all kind of stuff with the internets that make money. So a lot of especially your top athletes, they getting ready to make millions with the new law in California. But here's the other problem. Here's the other thing. What that's going to do, that's going to make initially all your top college athletes want to sign with and go to college where? In California, where they can make millions, right? So then that forces the rest of the country's colleges and schools, they either got to get down or be down. Get gone or be down. Because they ain't going to be able to recruit if they don't do the same thing. If they don't match what California's doing, they ain't going to be able to recruit. You see how that works? So that's another example of one state passing a law or a requirement in that state and it actually having implications and effects nationwide. Okay? Like I said, college sports has been slavery for a long time. But then the whole states' right issue, it's really, it all goes all the way back to slavery versus states' rights. And again, it's the same concept. When you're doing something, we're talking about slavery here, when you're doing something satanic or evil, like slavery, and you're profiting from it, or something is making food unhealthy for consumption, a state can say, not here, right? And help move the industry, the issue, or country forward. This actually, in a bit of a way, could be used, this approach could be used for our reparations as well, family. Think about it. If a state like, say, California says you or your company or your state cannot do business here in this state unless you have already paid reparations as of a particular date, or say a sports team, a lot of people talk about what can the NFL or NBA do. Say sports teams could say the same thing. We're not going to do business with you. I don't know if y'all remember, there was an issue a while back about the LGBTQ bathroom access. I think it was like in North Carolina, and It came down to pretty much a standstill. And the larger companies and corporations says, okay, we're not going to do business with the state of North Carolina if y'all don't allow people to use the bathroom. I think it was based on their how they identify themselves. Do y'all remember that? So not only states or sports teams, but large corporations can do the same. Now, I know what y'all thinking. You ain't gonna do that. You right. But they could. You follow what I'm saying? It's the concept. When you have or a big player or a major controller in an industry, a field, you actually have the ability to say, unless you've paid reparations, we're not going to do business with you. Or like California is doing in this Prop 12 bill, unless y'all upgrade y'all farming standards, we're not doing business with you. You see what I'm saying? Basically, it's an additional kind of like workaround for the BS the government is not doing. The government is supposed to be regulating this stuff, but they can't get nothing done. Let me rephrase it. They refuse to do the things to improve our country on a wide variety of issues. They refuse. Now, here's the secret though. They do what they want to do. Okay? They do the things that they want to do, that they profit from. You see that? I mean, just kind of a slight side note here, in regards to like reparations. They done paid out, they paying money out to the Ukrainians that are not citizens. They're in negotiations to pay money out to Hispanic immigrants that they rightfully, terrorize. Now, and when I say rightfully, I mean they did the evil by separating them from their kids at the border and all that crazy stuff. The government did that. So yeah, they gotta atone for that, right? But they're negotiations to pay up to $450,000 per person that happened to. They gave money in regards to and created a Asian hate crime bill. When all the statistics show, yes, there was some Asians that experienced some hate crimes because of the sentiment that was put out, especially by your boy Trump, talking about the ooh-wee and the predator. Let's just say the predator. And here, ladies and gentlemen, we call that thing that we kind of been dealing with the last 2 years or so. We don't call it the C word, we call it the predator, because y'all know how it is out here in these YouTube streets. All right. But because the government, Trump, and a lot of people pushed that notion, yeah, there was some extra heat put on a lot of Asian Americans. But nowhere near the terrorism that goes on every day for Black Americans. But they got a hate crime bill. They got special protection. They got all kind of stuff. Again, the government does what it wants to do. So, y'all don't miss that on this issue. Don't miss, this is on the surface, it seems like it may not really be that important. But the outcome of this issue, the outcome of how the Supreme Court rules on this issue is going to be pretty big. And because not only will this move the U.S. Meat farming industry one way or the other, if it's successful, just like that would be like the second major thing that the state of California has been successful in impacting nationwide. Okay? In addition to one of their original ones where, like I mentioned, they did the exhaust air quality issue for California, to where cars had to meet higher standards as well. Okay, so you got the car stuff. They did this NCAA sports athlete law that allows athletes to make money off their name. That changed NCAA. That shut the NCAA's whole slavery game down as it was. And then now California got its own issues. Okay, let me say that clear. California got its own issue. California, I'm not saying California is the best place. No. But some of these laws that they are enacting are actually helping make things better. Okay? And like I mentioned, y'all may think that's a stretch, but based on the issue, this is an additional way that reparations actually could be paid to us, family, if a state or corporation, large corporations, decide to push this issue in this way. We're not doing business with you. Think about it. If Walmart said, we're not doing business with you unless you've paid reparations, unless you paid or unless you support reparations. Think about it. Or Amazon or any of the large corporations, the sports teams. Talking about all these sports owners. Of course, again, they ain't gonna do it. We know that, but I'm just saying, look at the concept. Okay? They still tripping off of Kaepernick kneeling. But it's the concept. Okay? So, be clear. If you hear people crying about this issue and these new regulations that Prop 12 California is putting forward to try to make food better and safer and healthier in California. You hear people crying about this not being constitutional. What they are really saying is, it's my right to make easy money or make money on unhealthy things, doing things in real jacked up kind of ways that actually either have a negative impact, an unhealthy impact, or damaging impact, or may have those types of impacts on other people. I have a right to do that. That's what they're saying. When they crying about the Constitution and states' rights. That's what they're saying. And then again, remember, it's states' rights for them to be able to do their jacked up stuff to make money. But it's not states' rights when the state says we're going to use this exact same method and say we're going to make something better for everybody in our state. So you can't do business here. You can't sell that here. You can't, Oh, no, you breaking the Constitution. Yeah, okay, whatever. All right? So be clear on that. And ask them, say, what happened to the states' rights? Well, that's not in the Constitution. Well, what you were doing is not in the Constitution either. The evil or harm that you were doing or causing by what you were doing or the way you were doing it, how it was negatively impacting other people or other groups of people, that ain't in the Constitution either. But you want to fight for that, claiming states' rights. Really? You can't have it both ways. So, again, family, like I said, this is an issue that's actually much bigger than, many people think. And I hope California is successful. I hope the Supreme Court comes down on this issue on the side of allowing California to maintain in this area, these better standards, because it will help ultimately make our U.S. food industry or U.S. meat industry better. And then I hope additional states follow from there. Follow California's lead. And again, states, large corporations, large companies, sports teams, things like that, large retailers, they all can follow this same template to get additional other, especially, well, I already said, I ain't gonna go back into it. So, y'all, let me know what you think, if you agree, if you disagree, or what your thoughts are on this issue in the comments. And remember, family, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Smash the likes. Here at One Brothas Mind, we're trying to bring you, the real facts that you need. The information that they're not going to tell you. They're not on the mainstream media. They're not going to explain this stuff, completely of what's going on and what's really behind, both arguments, both sides of the argument. I gave you both sides of the argument, and then I told you where I stand. So let's chop it up in the comments, family, and hopefully we're able to see there's a good outcome to this, and the country, or at least California, can move forward. So yeah, and this concludes this broadcast for One Brothas Mind. We thank you for joining us, and as a part of the new Black media, B1 choices are mandatory, and being on code is required. So never fear, Yeshua the Christ is with you always. Shalom.